Hi everyone, and welcome to Lemon Dew. I'm Brie, and I'm your one and only host for this podcast. So I'm not really sure how to start this, but I figured a quick trailer of some sort would help you guys learn more about me as well as this podcast. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm an autistic woman in her early 20s who suffers from clinical depression. I was first diagnosed with autism at the age of 2 and clinical depression when I was around 13, 14, and I have been living with these things for practically most, if not my whole life. So, the purpose of this podcast is not only for me to use my voice to express myself, but also to help people with autism and clinical depression find ways to cope in this strange, mad place that is the world. Now, when it comes to these particular subjects, I feel that a lot of people don't really understand them. Sometimes, from personal experience, I've had people be very critical and judgmental of me, especially when it comes to mental health. I have had instances before where mainly family members or family friends have invalidated my mental health, and in a sense, I want to use this podcast to help people open their minds and really step into the shoes of a person with autism and a person with clinical depression. So, the way this podcast is going to work is every Sunday I plan on releasing episodes, and this is because it will pretty much correlate with my work schedule as I do work a full-time job. Now, the first episode, which is going to be autism in my early childhood, will be released in 2 weeks' time on a Sunday, and this is so I can prep all of my material. Now, I do have a digital journal that I keep where I have a list of ideas of different things I want to cover. So I'm not really using a script because I feel like it's going to come off inauthentic. So, in other words, I kind of want to talk casually as if I'm talking to a friend and just be able to release my emotions in a way that works for me. So, in other words, this is kind of going to be unfiltered and casual, if that makes sense. Now, there will be instances where I am going to cover sensitive topics like self-harm, suicide, and abuse, and I will be putting in notes for trigger warnings, so if you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to listen. And I just want to keep my podcast a non-judgmental and safe space, and I just want to make people feel as comfortable as possible. Now, if you are interested in my podcast, then please stay tuned. And of course, I do have a YouTube channel, so I'm just going to plug in my YouTube channel, which is brie.sue. I'm going to put a link to that as well. And there will be a link to this podcast for those of you that already follow me on my YouTube and whatever, so that you guys can feel free to listen. I'd really appreciate if you guys shared my podcast as well as gave me some feedback in terms of how to improve, because since this is very experimental, I want to try and find my feet and just find a style that works for me. So, apart from that, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you soon in the next 2 weeks. Thanks. Bye.